This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2485. Nobody cares more about your money than you do, by JD Roth of GetRichSlowly.org. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. We're going to get right to today's post and start optimizing your life. Nobody cares more about your money than you do, by JD Roth of GetRichSlowly.org. I've read a lot of stuff lately about how scammers take advantage of other people. It's easy to think that those who lose their money are just unfortunate suckers. That's not always true. Often they're folks just like me and you who get talked into thinking somebody else knows more than they do. On some level, the same thing happens all the time with bankers and brokers and real estate agents, and even with friends and family. These folks may not be con artists, but we've all allowed these other people to tell us what we ought to do with our money. We let ourselves believe that they're able to make better decisions about our financial situation than we are. Sometimes they can, but mostly they can't or won't. Because the truth is, your money just isn't as important to anyone else as it is to yourself. One of the most powerful lessons you can learn is that nobody cares more about your money than you do. When you realize this, when you take responsibility for making your own financial decisions instead of letting others make them for you, it can bring a tremendous sense of power and control to your life. Trust no one. If your real estate agent says you can afford a particular house, don't just take her word for it. Run the numbers yourself. Set your own budget for a mortgage. Don't just trust the mortgage broker or the bank. Of course they think you can afford more. They have commissions riding on it. If your insurance salesman tells you that whole life is better than term, don't just take his word for it. Do your own research. Find out what's right for your situation. Hint, it's probably term. Of course he wants you to buy whole life. He'll make 5 to 10 times more than he would if you bought term. If your lawyer tells you to create a living trust in addition to a simple will, don't just take her word for it. Dig a little deeper. Learn what a living trust is. Find out why people use them. Ask yourself if this makes sense in your circumstances. You may very well decide to have your lawyer create a living trust, or you may decide that $800 is better spent elsewhere. If the salesman at the Mega Mart argues that you should take out an extended warranty on your new 180-inch television, don't just take his word for it. He has zero motivation to give you advice that's in your best interest. His advice is based on what's in his best interest, which means more money in his pocket. If your favorite personal finance blogger urges you to invest in index funds, don't just take her word for it. Read up on the subject yourself. Though it's unlikely that a blogger is going to profit from your investment choices, it's very possible that her investment goals and your investment goals are different. Maybe she's well off and merely wants to match market returns. Maybe you're young and would like a little more risk. Use the blogger's advice as a starting point, but do your own reading, your own planning, and make your own investment decisions. When you see an ad on television or in a blog or in a magazine, don't just believe what the marketing copy tells you. Of course, the latest needs are the best. That's what all ads say, right? Big corporations don't have your best interest at heart. All they care about is the bottom line. To get the facts on quality and performance, check out impartial reviews through Amazon and Consumer Reports and your friends. The truth is out there. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad to talk to a financial planner or use a real estate agent to buy a house. You should absolutely have a team of financial advisors. Heed the advice of experts. Listen to what they have to say, but don't follow their recommendations blindly. The advice that others give you is almost always in their best interest, which may or may not be the same as your best interest. Never forget this. Don't do what other people tell you just because they have authority or because they have a silver tongue. Read, research options, understand the pros and cons of every choice, because every choice will have its pros and cons. Don't be obsessed with perfect and be willing to make mistakes. Realize that what's right for one person may not be right for you. And especially never make a financial decision under time pressure. If somebody tells you this is a time-limited offer and you need to act fast or you'll miss out, then miss out. It's almost always the best choice. Creating time pressure is one of the oldest tricks in the book and an easy way to get people to go against their own best interest. Know what's important to you and why. Use this knowledge to set goals and use these goals to direct your choices. When you have a why, it's easier to trust your own judgment. Do these things and you'll appreciate that nobody cares more about your money than you do. You just listened to the post titled, "Nobody Cares More About Your Money Than You Do" by J.D. Roth of GetRichSlowly.org. Labor strikes, climate change, your beat up office printer. What do they all have in common? Come on, it's all about the money. Economics is everywhere and everything fueling our lives, even where we least expect it. If you're a fan of Optimal Finance Daily and are curious to learn something new and exciting about economics every week, I recommend you listen to the Planet Money podcast from NPR. Planet Money is a different kind of world where the complex economy actually makes sense, where human stories supersede abstract theories. Listeners can learn, laugh, and be entertained. It's econ, down to earth, and Planet Money answers some of life's burning questions, like, will AI take over our jobs? Why are Christmas trees so darn expensive? The Planet Money team lives to tell a good story in around 30 minutes. It's econ for the rest of us. Tune into Planet Money every week for entertaining stories and insights about how money shapes our world, stories that can't be found anywhere else. Listen now to Planet Money from NPR, wherever you get your podcasts. This post reminded me a lot of a conversation I had with CFP Sarah Catherine Gutierrez about the financial services industry. She really helped me understand that the number one issue with seeking financial advice is that most of the time, conflict of interest gets in the way. It was a fascinating chat, and if you have an hour to spare, I'd encourage you to check it out on the Economy Conference YouTube channel. The video is called, "Are FIRE and Financial Advisors Incompatible?" By the time you know enough about money to be in the position to properly select a financial advisor to manage your investments, you probably know enough to not need one. There's a great visual that helps demonstrate the effect of assets under management fees, or AUM fees, on a portfolio that I'll describe for you here. Imagine an initial investment of $6,000 with yearly contributions of $6,000 for 30 years and an average 8% yearly return. The gross value of this portfolio over 30 years would be $794,451. Now, if you were investing in a total market low-fee index fund like VTSAX, you'd be paying 0.04% in fees, which would be $6,302, or 0.8% of your portfolio. However, most AUM fees to work with an advisor range from 1 to 2%. At 1%, 17.9%, or $142,339 would be in your advisor's pocket. And at a 2% AUM fee, it would be a staggering 32%, or $257,180 of your money gone to pay for this advisor. Now, many advisors would claim that this fee is justified because their services can help you beat the market. But we've seen time and time again that 80 to 90% of actively managed portfolios don't beat the market over the long term. I do think there are certain circumstances when working with an advisor makes sense. For example, if you're nearing retirement, shifting your asset allocation, or devising a drawdown strategy. But these are scenarios where you could work with a flat fee advisor and just pay them for their time rather than have them manage your investments. That should do it for another edition of Optimal Finance Daily. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the Wednesday show tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.